Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking all 12 of the new Pearlescent and Legendary weapons added in Borderlands 4's newest raid boss, Subjugator and Thole the Invincible. We actually have some really powerful new weapons here that shake up the meta quite a bit, and they're fun. There's actually some cool ideas here which I'll be breaking down in this video, covering all the possible roles that you can get for these weapons. And I gotta say, across the board, there's some really fun new Pearlescents. 8 of them can be gathered from any source now, so you can find Pearlescents really anywhere, but there is one dedicated Pearlescent for this boss alongside 4 legendary items, with 2 of them being weapons, which we'll break down in this video. Now for a brief overview, we got 1 heavy ordnance, 1 shotgun, 2 assault rifles, 2 sniper rifles, 2 pistols, and 4 SMGs. And there's actually some pretty cool roles because a lot of them come with dataless parts. And to keep things as consistent as possible so you guys can see how powerful each of these weapons are in their circumstances, this is the Harlow build. I'll have that linked in the comments. So I just want to go over all the possible weapons here first, starting with the very popular Herald, which is a little bit different from its Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3 renditions, but this weapon is honestly not too bad. The best part, in my opinion, is if you can find a Ripper part on this. Now, I got one around 15k, I have one on cash with 17k DPS. There is, from what I've seen in comments, people let me know there's a 20k DPS variant out there. But it can also come with TDR rolls on it. It's a Torg weapon, which we know are very powerful. But not every one of them is going to come with stickies involved. So there's a lot of ways that you can play around with the Herald here. It is named a little different from its Borderlands 2 version, but we unfortunately don't have the B shield, which is what made it so powerful in Borderlands 2, and the Borderlands 3 version was just straight up a lot stronger than this one. Now, again, the best is going to have Ripper parts on it, but I think it's fun with the TDR license accessories as well. It can come with underbarrel shots like the Turbine Cleaver. And I'm going to be showcasing this against Corporal Brennan here. Just he is the easiest to showcase the power of these weapons, and I'll even put it into true mode here just so you get a real idea of what it's like. I tried actually to re-record this video as I was trying it against the new bosses, and it was just a little bit difficult to showcase. But you can see here, at a distance, it's not that bad. Really where the strength in this weapon lies is it's going to have a good effect against large bosses. Another thing to consider with the Herald is the fire rate. So at a glance, this 11k DPS would, you'd think, be worse than the 15k, but this one has 3 shots per second. This one's got 4.6. The fast fire rate is much better because of how many extra projectiles shoot off from this weapon. So for example, here's the slower fire rate with a Ripper magazine. So yeah, it is a little bit slower in the amount of shots that you can get off per second, as you can see here. Very slow, but if we swap over to the faster fire rate, you see much better. So this is why I think a lot of people are trashing this weapon when it first dropped. I got a lot of comments in my video saying that this weapon is just awful. It's not really that bad. It only shines against large bosses because the shot pattern, you can see there, it splits off into 5s and 7s. So it is a little bit harder. It is great against Thole though. I did post a video where this weapon actually shreds going against Thole because he's so big and large that he gets hit by all the projectiles here. But this weapon isn't going to be, if you're used to the Borderlands 2 and 3 versions, it isn't going to be as strong as that, but it can hold its own. As you can see here, if you got a fast fire rate one, here's the TDR version. So it does have a little bit of a slower fire rate with this, and then whenever you go to throw it there, it's going to explode. There's ones that'll fly around. Like, there's a lot of different TDR rolls here. I did try a TDR style build with this one, and it just doesn't feel like as strong as some of the other weapons. Like if you're playing with Rafa, for example, who unfortunately got some pretty brutal nerfs lately. But you can see here, this weapon is considerably decent if you get the right rolls. There are just so many different rolls for this, so that is where things get a little bit complicated. But in and itself, it's pretty solid across the board. I would have to say it's not bad, it's just not good. So with that, I'd also have to say that this is a B tier weapon. With the right rolls, it's solid, but it's not going to be obviously as good as the previous renditions. The stickies on it are also quite nice, but stickies did get nerfed with the previous updates, so even just a regular old Torg one is going to be solid. And I think the red text really says it well. Out of 87 bazillion, one of them had to be the best. So yeah, watch your rolls on this one. I think they have some pretty wild variants. Also, the COV magazine I don't really like. And next up is actually one of my favorite new weapons, the only shotgun that we got, the Constable. This doesn't really come with any rolls, but it comes with a lot of variants in terms of its parts. So one thing that you can do is press Y to investigate the weapon. Some of them are going to have a huge boost to their overall crit damage, which with a Jakobs gun, that's amazing. So the lower DPS numbers don't always tell the full story here. For example, my 19k DPS, which is the highest roll that I got, has a plus 58% crit damage, whereas the ones that have the underbarrel stock here have a 96, and that one had 134. So again, there's a lot of variance in these parts, but in terms of their overall crit damage, but Some of them come with much different fire rates as well, so that's something you want to look into. It's a Jakobs, so you press it as fast as you can go. And if you don't mind getting carpal tunnel, this thing can shred. It's actually really nice because it leaves these little projectiles behind. Now, one thing, as a Jakobs, the ricochets don't leave the projectiles behind, it's just the initial shots. So you're going to leave these little explosions, which is great for mobbing. It's also quite powerful in bossing, as you can see here. So where this shines, though, is just in terms of the overall damage, because if you got a target that's moving around a lot, they're going to get hit by these often. And Pearlescents are nice, too, because they got that damage type swapper. So they're still always going to be pretty powerful in most situations here, as this will be a kinetic and very powerful weapon on its own. It honestly almost feels like a Torg because the bullets have that lingering effect afterwards. So yeah, I think this weapon is quite fun of a weapon, and it will shine on infinite ammo builds. I try to use this with Vex. Unfortunately, Vex with her like witchy trigger finger, it has too small of a magazine, so you'd have to spec into any magazine increases to really get the most effect out of it because of its fast fire rate. And I'll try to compare some of these weapons to others that I think are similar, but maybe better. The Hellwalker, it recently got buffed. This thing is insane. You can get 30k DPS on it. On an infinite damage build like Harlow here, this is going to be the best weapon against Thul, Subjugator, and Thul. We have a lot of heavy hitters in terms of Jakobs Shotguns. Also the TK's Wave, which can come with a lot of other roles as well. It's a Jakobs weapon, but it can come with Torg parts as well. Ripper on that thing is insane. This doesn't have Ripper, so it does take it down a bit, but it's still a very powerful weapon. The only shotgun, but I don't think it's the best shotgun if you consider dataless parts being added to the weapon. So if you look at the other weapons that are in the base game, I can't put this one in the S tier, despite how much I enjoy using this weapon. So for that, I'd actually have to say it's an A tier weapon. It is a little bit better than the Herald in a lot of situations, just because the tighter spread, it's better for mobbing, and the damage output is quite nice. But again, we just have so many other Jakobs weapons that are so much better. Even the Rainbow Vomit is pretty crazy, but there's a weapon kind of similar to this. Following up our Jakobs in the A tier, we have another really fun Jakobs weapon, the Gomie. This comes with so many different parts. It can come with dataless and shotgun, obviously being one of the better options here, but I also like sniper rifles because there is only really a couple snipers in this game that feel amazing to use, and we run out of ammo so quickly in the new boss fight, so having a backup sniper that's not a sniper is quite nice. Ripper parts are still going to be some of the best. I have not seen Ripper plus the dataless. I don't think that's possible, but if it is, let me know in the comments, because I feel like that would be pretty insane. The shotgun loader though, or Ripper would be the best roles in my opinion, and obviously matching elements on the boss. But it's the Ascending Storm, so on hit it gives you a stack of Firestorm, which gives you weapon damage increases by 5%. Reloading will release the Firestorm that goes out and hunts down the enemy. It is very strong. This one is quite fun. And if you ever see one that has a lower DPS, that likely means that it's going to have the higher crit modifier here. So that has 134% crit versus 96. So that is a considerable amount of difference in terms of overall damage, especially if you're using someone that gets crits often. Now, one thing I noticed with this weapon is that sometimes it has a hard time triggering Harlow's infinite ammo. I was having weird struggles with that against the new bosses here, but this is one of the lower DPS versions here going against the boss. And then I'll swap over and show you one of the shotgun versions, which I think is amazing. So the shotgun is pretty crazy. This isn't even matching the elements perfectly, but that's all I have at the current moment. The shotgun would be your best role if you want to go for like obviously high damage output. And what's nice with the shotgun too is it's crazy for mobbing because it's a Jakobs weapon. So you got pellets galore. If you're playing on PlayStation 5 or Xbox, it may cause a bit of lag, but this thing is a beast overall. I think that this is a really fun weapon to use. I'll throw my orb thing back out there so I get the damage. Also, Harlow had a bit of a change here where she has to like double jump to get her thing because it's now out of her way here. But yeah, the damage from this is pretty insane with a shotgun part on it. So I think it is honestly quite solid, especially if you're a fan of Jakobs weapons. This is a new addition that I think is honestly quite solid, especially with the either Ripper or Jakobs. That's just my bad. I do have a dataless Ripper mix here. So here it is with the Ripper and the sniper ammunition being used. So yeah, it's honestly got some pretty solid damage output across the board. And being a sniper rifle with Jakobs means that it's just great. And see, you saw right there, didn't get the infinite ammo properly with that. So it is a little bit weird sometimes with how the infinite ammo works on it. But I think for the most part, shotgun loader is gonna be your best call with this. It does shoot relatively fast, obviously being a Jakobs here. But if you have carpal tunnel, I would not recommend this weapon without the Ripper part, just because you're gonna be spamming it kind of similar to how the Hellwalker works. But yeah, I honestly think that this weapon is a pretty solid one across the board, with no matter if you got the Ripper parts or the Jakobs on it, it is a fun weapon. And I think that the scaling up damage is pretty cool too. Like I really like that effect here. And you see the Firestorm flying off and going after other targets there. So And here's a corrosive version, so you can see it with a little bit higher damage. This isn't the shotgun. If you can find a shotgun and the Ripper parts, that would be like the absolute best roll. It's going to be an impossible one to farm because I spent a lot of hours looking for these weapons, and I don't mod the weapons. I'm just using the ones that I got dropped. So yeah, this thing, it is actually a pretty powerful weapon across the board. I like the fact that a lot of these Pearlescents are useful against the new bosses, but they aren't going to be like the best in slots. So it does allow you to do something different in terms of the overall weapons. So yeah, I'd have to say Gomie, with its ability to scale up its damage, the nice Ripper and Daedalus parts that you can get, it is a solid weapon. The DPS is going to be lower on a Ripper one, but it does shoot faster. One with a shotgun loader is just going to be the absolute best in slot. So yeah, if you can find a nice shotgun loader one, that'd be a very solid weapon. I'm going to put it up into the A tier. I don't think it is enough to put it into the S tier. It is better than the Constable though. It is a fun weapon, and I like these style of assault rifles because there's not a lot of crazy good assault rifles in Borderlands 4 yet, so hopefully we'll see more. Next, we got a Ripper with the jailbroken Gatling. This is the only one that's not a world drop. You have to get this from Subjugator and Fold the Invincible, but this thing is amazing. It always comes with the shotgun Daedalus. It's a Ripper weapon, a pretty crazy roll, and it's always going to come with 2 elements, which is amazing, especially because there's just, like, you can pack 2 of these and have a ton of variants because it's an SMG and a shotgun with multiple damage types, depending on the health bar you're going against, so it doesn't have the Maliwan swapper. It's just a very solid weapon. Now, some of them are going to have different parts, obviously, like, so I have this one here, which is a shock and elemental, or a shock and corrosive. I have another shock and corrosive with a plus 33% critical hit damage, and it's a Ripper weapon, so it shoots really fast, but different fire rates. So you can see here I got a 6.4 per second and a 4.5 per second, and I'll take you through some other ones here. It can come with 30 rounds in the magazine. It has different reload speeds, with lowest being like a 1.5 seconds and the highest being like a 2.5 or 2.8 there. So a lot of different parts come into play here. It is a fun weapon, and its main thing is it's jailbroken. So on hit, you get a stack of backfire. For every stack of backfire, it gives you increased fire rate and an additional chance to fire off additional projectiles. So here it is in the SMG form. It's strong. It's very strong, as you can see here. But what's crazier when you throw it into the shotgun version, because it's going to shoot out 3 projectiles at home around, like you see there, it becomes quite absurd at that point. This thing is just straight up fun to use. I like having 2 elements on the weapon here, so you are always going to have something nice to match up against the boss. And you can see here, this thing is a shredder of a weapon. As far as Ripper goes, this is actually a fun Ripper part, or a fun Ripper weapon itself. I find the Ripper weapons themselves are sometimes leaving something to be desired. This one, no, it's straight up just strong, as you can see here. And I honestly like it because it's good for conserving ammo against the new bosses. You can then go throw it into the SMG form. And I'll use it here in the SMG form again, because it does shoot off additional projectiles almost like it's a shotgun when it's in the SMG form. So don't be afraid to use it in its SMG form. Typically with these shotgun loading weapons, they're going to be a little bit better. The nice thing too is, from what I've noticed, the additional projectiles that it gets will also home in on the enemies, so that's kind of nice too. This is just honestly one of the best weapons that they've added to the game. I think it's a really fun one too, with the ability to match multiple different elements. Pearls across the board don't feel as good as some of the legendaries in this game, and honestly I think that this is one that just makes Pearls feel so much better as a whole. So yeah, I like having the shotgun loader built in, so you got multiple damage types, and you can see right there the damage it can do is actually pretty considerable. It's a fun weapon, and yeah, I gotta say, this weapon just feels really nice to play. It has a lower DPS number than some of the weapons here, but the DPS numbers don't really mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, because even lower DPS sometimes is better. This is an S tier weapon. I really enjoy it. It has it counters pretty much everything in the game, because you got multiple elements. It's going to come with 2 of them per weapon. Shotgun always. It's got a Jakobs part on it. It's got increased fire rate. I don't think there's anything else that could be added to this to make it, like, obviously more damage, but it's a great weapon across the board. This is probably best on Harlow and Cash. I mean, everything's best on Harlow and Cash, but Cash really takes advantage of this weapon, and it just takes it to a whole other level, especially with Gloam to Glow, which was nerfed, but wasn't really nerfed, because there's ways around that. So yeah. Let me know your thoughts on this weapon though. I've seen some people say it's a bit lackluster, and I disagree. I think this weapon is quite solid. Now next we got an Order sniper rifle, which actually is kind of interesting. There's particular builds that really use snipers to their most effective use, like Vex with her Bloodshot, and that's where I'd actually say that this weapon is best. There is a new firmware that was added to the game, which I'm not going to be using because it takes many years to grind and most people are not going to be using it, but it would be amazing on this, because when you get it, whenever you use a charged weapon like this and you fully charge it up, within 0.5 seconds if you let it fire, it gets 100% extra damage, paired with like an enhancement that's going to further increase that, this thing would just be unstoppable on Vex, but that does require a lot of setup. Otherwise, I mean, it's a sniper rifle that can do pretty high damage, but it's still outclassed by things like the Stray and even the Katagawa's Revenge in some situations and the Complex Root. But snipers in this game honestly don't feel too amazing. So I also don't love order weapons. And I know that's the sentiment across a lot of people, but if you like order weapons, you'll be at home with this. And if you like scope snipers, this one doesn't come with a scope often. It's one of the lesser common roles, but as you see here, like it's got a good amount of damage and it can proc some good damage over time. But really you'd have to be utilizing something that's going to make this even better. Like if you're playing as Vex again with her Bloodshot build, which that's not everyone. Most people right now are playing cash. So it's decent on cash too, but yeah, you really got to keep firing. It's going to, as you can see there, gets better and better every time that you fire it off. So the damage is pretty cool, but you really have to keep blasting away and set up with a particular build to get the most out of this weapon. But yeah, it's just the annoyance of holding down the shots there. And if you have a weapon like this, or if you're regenerating ammo, like even with the setup there from Harlow, I was having a struggle to keep that infinite ammo. So weirdly enough, it's another weapon like that. But yeah, if you keep using it, you do get a nice boost to the damage from that. I'll swap over to the corrosive one here now. This one has a scope on it and a slightly faster charge time, but that is a little bit tricky. As far as charged up weapons, the Crow Source still cooks this weapon. The Crow Source is just insanely powerful. So if you want an order with this setup, just use the Crow Source, it'll be better, and it won't run out of ammo like this weapon is about to, because yeah, this is a sniper that's using 5 bullets per shot to really get the most out of this thing. So honestly, Crow Source with its near infinite bullets is probably the better option just to compare to something else. But yeah, if you're going to min-max and put together a build that's really using this thing could be like, it's a potential weapon, but for the most often use case, this thing is just it's an okay. Like I'm not going to say it's bad because there is the potential there, but it's more annoying than anything really to use. Just like most order weapons that aren't like the Crow Sourced or the GMR. So it's also a splash weapon, which is kind of interesting, but the splash range is 1 centimeter, so it's kind of small, but it will take those benefits from splash weapons. I think for sniper rifles, there needs to be something different with them, because right now Vex is the only one that really uses them. This would be good because it's got crazy damage if you charge it up, and if you're doing things like Bloodshot, it could be good, but that's a lot of setup, so it'd be like a high A to S tier for Bloodshot Vex, but I'm just going to put it in the B tier below the Herald here, just because it's got a lot of setup and not a high reward unless you spec into really using it with a new skill craft or with a new firmware and like an enhancement and a Bloodshot Vex. It's probably the best weapon here, but that's a lot of setup. And even then, I wouldn't even say it's the best weapon, because even things like the Crow Source are just a lot better. Now, next up, we got the Screwstonian here, which is a funny reference to Roger Screwstone, which is a philosopher. And it also comes with the screwed up here, and this reference was chopped red text. But this weapon is interesting. It always comes with a stock 33% crit rate and a 25 centimeter explosion radius. It's got, after consecutive bursts, the fire rate is reduced and the damage will be increased for 4 bursts. And it'll always come with a Jakobs part and the Hyperion license grip on it, which increases your overall accuracy as you keep firing. So it can be nice on Rafa, but Rafa, like this reference, is chopped right now. Hopefully they buff him up. But yeah, this one is, you'll see. Actually, I should mention it's 50 centimeter splash radius. And being a dataless, it actually hides what type of ammunition it uses. You have to go in and view the manufacturer part. Like this one's an assault rifle. This one's a shotgun, as you see there. So yeah, you're gonna have to do some digging around because the low DPS may not be the low DPS. Oh, and another plus is that it comes with a stock element and it can come with the override. So you can get a kinetic override if you prefer those, but this is great for matching health bars. I got a shock and a corrosive here that's perfect against this boss. So here it is in the SMG form. So you shoot 3 or 4 bursts and then it's going to reduce the fire rate and increase the damage. Not super noticeable here, but I will pull out the shotgun variant here so you can see what this looks like. The shotgun's obviously a lot better of a part, so the damage does skid up a little bit higher here, but yeah, this is a weird feeling one to use. I do like having dataless weapons just because the new bosses are literal ammo eaters, so having something to be able to deal with that is quite nice. And it's weird whenever it goes into the slower fire rate there. I'm not sure the overall damage increase, but it does seem like whenever it goes to the slower fire rate that the damage, depending on your build, will be slowed down a little bit. I actually prefer when it's in its fast fire rate. So yeah, you can see the time to kill here is like nothing spectacular, but it's not a bad weapon. Coming with the stock parts like this is kind of nice though. Like you're always going to have something that's usable here, and it does have like a splash to it too, so that's cool as well. But yeah, the time to kill on this is not super amazing in Ultimate Vault Hunter 7 True Mode, so while it's a fun SMG, I don't think it's going to beat some of the other beastly SMGs that we got, like the Dark Beast, which is my preferred if you're going to want to use a dataless SMG. But I will admit, if it didn't have Jakobs, it would suck. It comes with Jakobs, so that's cool. The damage from this thing is pretty okay. I wouldn't say it's a bad weapon overall, but it's not something that I'd be reaching for often, as we got many other SMGs in this list that are just better. So I'm going to put this one into the B tier. It's not as good as the Herald in my opinion, but it's not as it's not as bad as the Order Sniper, because you can use this on anyone really. And next up we have the Juliet Sparkle. This is Dazzle the World. This is a fun one. So it has a 33% chance for stars to fall that'll deal damage. This one's got 5,700, this one's 411. So depending on the overall damage of this weapon, it will spawn in stars. It's similar to the Rainbow Vomit when you shoot at the floor. It can also come with a shotgun loader, and it's Maliwan. I'm a big fan of Maliwan weapons, so it's got the double elements there with the Pearlescent override. And it'll always come with a 45 round, or almost always come with a 45 round magazine. So most of the ones that I have here have 45 rounds. This one here with less DPS, this is actually a bad roll of it, 36. They always have the 5.7%, almost always have the 5.7%, depending on the rolls here. You can see 5.7% fire rate, 5.7 per second, 5.7, 5.7, 5. Yeah, a lot of them have the 5.7, but this one here, 7.6. So there are some that are a little bit better. But the trade-off being this one's got a 4.5k damage per pellet. This one's 3.2. So yeah, it's got a wide variety of rolls. Comes with dataless ammo swapper. So that is nice again, because this new boss just chews through your ammunition. So having the ability to swap over and use something else is nice. Obviously, shotgun loaders are still going to be the best. I hope that they buff up some of the other ones there to make them a bit more worthwhile using. So I'll show the SMG version here, and then I'm going to swap it over to the assault rifle version. Just to give you an idea of what the assault rifle one is like. It's a little bit slower firing, higher damage, but this will have a chance to shoot down these stars, as you can see, and it's painting the walls there with the rainbow color, similar to the Rainbow Vomit, which I think is pretty funny. It's a good weapon across the board. I really like Maliwan weapons. The high fire rate, or the high magazine size is really nice. I'll swap that back to the SMG. The SMG is probably the best just because you want to trigger those stars as much as possible for that DPS boost. And then I'll show off the shotgun version here so that you get an idea of what the shotgun one is like. This is the best because the shotguns will give you the stars pretty frequently here. So, well, that's even without using my special ability here. So yeah, with the yeah, there we go. Shotgun loader, matching elements. This thing is insanely powerful. The stars are just so powerful. Yeah, crazy. Probably just my luck, but the only shotgun loaders that I have is a cryo and corrosive version, so I have two of those. The rest of them come with the other, like pistol, sniper, assault rifle ammo. Now this is using the shotgun mode and not matching elemental bars. It's still probably better than the others. So yeah, look out for the shotgun one, because it's just going to have a greater chance to drop down those stars that you see hitting the enemy there. I like that it colors the floor. It's kind of funny there. We're not really doing an insane amount of damage because this is not good against this health bar, but in a second here we'll get to the actual armor again. You can see how powerful this thing is. It is really fun to use too. And the multi-hits are great because you can see that we got our action skill back as Harlow from her confirmative reality, and then once we get rolling again, it's shredding, absolutely shredding. So yeah, this weapon I think is honestly my favorite from the new DLC. It's a fun weapon. I like the colors, and again, I'm a Maliwan fan, so I'm always happy when there's good Maliwans. It comes with the ammo swapper, and it comes with Jakobs. What more can I say? I think it's pretty obvious this weapon is pretty strong. I'm going to throw this one into the S tier. At the top of the S tier, it is a bit better than the dedicated drop from the new bosses. The jailbroken Gatling, the Juliet Sparkle is just really good. We covered 3 SMGs thus far, and here's the 4th. This one is a little confusing. So it has Locust rockets. I can confirm they don't work like the Locust when you go against Idolator Soul, so I'm not sure why Borderlands ended up using the same name for this. It does get a bit confusing, but this weapon is kind of cool because it can come with so many different roles. Like you can get a Torg license part on it. And the effect here is the Locust Rockets will basically make the target take 30% more damage with that elemental type, and it'll also give overshield and refills 50% of the magazine if you take an enemy with it. It is either like a 40, a 25. I'll go through all the different rolls that I have here. It can come with COV parts that puts it up to 40. It can also come with a Jakobs roll on it as well. It can come with Ripper parts. This is another weapon that just has so many different pieces going on that you can get TDR. I think it can get pretty much anything on it except obviously Daedalus, as it has a alt fire on it, so no Maliwan swapper, but it comes with 2 elementals damage types, so that's pretty solid. I like the Torg version here. I like the Jakobs version. It's a weird one though. So here's the damage if we just fire away with it. I like the streaking effect that these guns have. I'll shoot the Locust Rockets here, so hit him with the Locust. They do look similar to the Locust from the base game as well. Fast fire rate though, which is kind of nice. So it's great if you got like, I found this weapon was quite nice if you're playing as Cash with his Gloam to Glow build. The damage from this is honestly quite solid though. It's just the Locusts are a weird mechanic. They only last for 12 seconds. And it's a good weapon, honestly. I'll swap it over, use the Locust Rockets again there. So you basically will swap it over. The Locust will give you that increase the overall damage. And then if you take out the enemy, you get half the magazine back, which is great for mobbing. This weapon is honestly a solid one if you're mobbing. But yeah, it's not as high damage as the other SMGs that we have on this list. So yeah, the time to kill on this is not like crazy high by any means, but I'll swap it over in a second to show you the Torg weapon now that we got Corrosive out. So here is the Torg, which is my preferred way of playing with this. I'll shoot at the Locust again and then hit it with the Torg. And you can see it does actually considerable damage with the Torg parts on it. So obviously that'll benefit from any of the Torg enhancements you have. I don't have equipped, but the Torg enhancements are quite strong. So quite nice to have on that. But yeah, it's no Juliet Sparkle or the jailbroken Gatling. It's still not a bad weapon though. And I feel like I'm going to have to farm for hundreds of hours to find the perfect roll, because yeah, it can have Jakobs, it can have Torg, it can have Ripper, it can have TDR, it can have Hyperion, it can have everything except Daedalus and Maliwan. And for that, the Parasite I'm going to actually throw into the A tier. I don't think it's as good as the Gomie, but I don't think it's as I don't think it's a bad weapon across the board. It is fun, lots of parts. Dual elements I think is a really nice feature too, because the ammo in this game, you run out of ammo so quickly. SMGs are great for having multiple ammo sources, but having 2 types of damage is just nice for the new raid boss in general. But yeah, lots of rolls, so I'm sure there's probably some good TDR setups with Rafa, even though Rafa is again chopped. But yeah, I like this weapon, and it's good for mobbing too. And next we got a Ripper Sniper with the Abyss, not the Pearl Abyss that created Crimson Desert, but this one is interesting because it can actually hurt you. I really like high risk, high reward style weapons. Is the juice worth the squeeze? I'll let you be the judge of that. It's a Ripper weapon that always comes with Jacob parts here. I'll just take you through some of the different rolls. It'll always have a 50% increase the overall damage from critical hits. And the Abyss here, the increase of the damage, the higher its charge. If the full charge is held too long, it triggers a self-damage explosion. So basically you can actually take yourself out if you end up charging it here and letting it overcharge. The damage from this is actually kind of nice too, but it doesn't get the same benefits as like the Order one there, where you can really scale it up as Vex. At a first glance, I thought this was one of the best weapons out in the DLC, and obviously it's a tough one to use because it's got Ripper there, and it can also take you out if you're not paying attention, but the damage from this is considerably nice. I do think it's a little bit easier to use than the Order Sniper. Like, you can throw this on any character and have it be serviceable, but it's not going to be the same highs as a lot of the other weapons out here. And if you want a really nice Ripper weapon, the Stray is just, again, one of the best in the game for its auto aim here, because if you miss one of these bursts or if you overcharge it, you're going to take yourself out. And with, yeah, as you saw right there. So that is the only downside to this weapon. It does have very high damage, but with the new bosses, they have, like, the mobs in that area have such high, oh, I almost took myself out again. The damage that this will do is going to be more than your health bar. So if your shield's depleted, you're going down. If you have a full shield, your shield's going to get toasted, but you'll likely stay alive. Yeah, this weapon is kind of fun, but I forgot to ammo swap it there. So yeah, this one has a slower, like, some of them have a slower charge time as well. This weapon's, it's fine. Like, it's nothing crazy. I do think it's easier to use than the Order Sniper rifle. Like, again, it'll still be serviceable if you use this thing, but the self damage is obviously an off-putting thing for a lot of people. This, again, is going to be best used on any type of, like, sniper build. And yeah, you can see there I was able to take myself out with it. But being a Jakobs weapon, you can, like, shoot that burst off, and that's going to be 5 pellets that are going to be flying around at multiple enemies. So it can be okay, but I'd honestly say that the Abyss is just, like, at a first glance, I love the high weapon damage, but it's a little bit annoying to use. Like, it's a risky reward weapon, but I don't think that it's as good as something like the Bonnie and Clyde if you really wanted to play with something that's like a challenge to use. So yeah, I'd throw it in the B tier, maybe like just below the Herald. It's not bad, but again, it's just like, it's annoying to use. That's my only sentiment on it. But again, snipers in this game, you really have to spec around them to get the most out of them. So that's why they aren't ranked as high. And I could honestly probably put this down to the C tier, if being honest here. And next up, we got the Shammy Kablammy. This one's kind of funny. It can come with elemental parts, like I got a cryo one here. So what it does is the Kablammy douses enemies in hot moonshine. On reload, throw an explosive projectile that deals a portion of its damage as bonus incendiary damage on doused enemies. Bonus damage scales with the amount of doused enemies hit in the explosion. It can come with some different parts on it. Like I got one with Jakobs, I got one with the Ripper and Jakobs. So yeah, depending on the rolls that you'll get, it's going to have a variety of different benefits here. So no critical hit damage increase. The magazine size is all over the place. Like this one's got 29 with 11.9k DPS. This one's got 34 with 11.9, but it's got an 8.4 rounds per second versus the 6 because it's got the Ripper part on it. This one, 20 rounds, so much less there and a slower fire rate. And then with the Elemental and Jakobs, it's got even less, but it's a TDR, so like the reloads are really just like 1.4 seconds, 1.2 seconds, nothing too bad. Honestly, the biggest downside to this weapon is you have to fight Subjugator, so that is annoying. So yeah, you can see here the damage from this thing. The hot moonshine is kind of funny, but yeah, I'm just gonna throw the gun there at him. Nothing crazy. I'll use the Ripper part for that faster fire rates. You can see it with that there. Yeah, I mean, Jakobs and a Ripper is kind of nice, and then blasting away. You essentially want to get as many targets hit with the moonshine as possible, and then throw this to get the max damage out of it, but maybe this would be really good on like a Rafa build, which is focused on like TDR. I could see that, but even then, there's still probably better things like the Chuck out there. So yeah, this is not the best reward for having to fight the harder of the two bosses. And you can get it from the chest. So some of you may, if you've never fought Subjugator and beat him, you may be able to get it from the chest there, because that's where I was able to get most of mine. I did fight and beat Subjugator a few times. I just don't like fighting against him compared to against Thole. But yeah, as you can see, the damage from this thing is just not that good. You really have to just go around and spray everyone with the hot moonshine and then try to blast away. And being a TDR, it does have a chance of taking you out. So yeah, we got back alive. Good. Yeah, nothing super fantastic to write home about, in all honesty. I don't really like this weapon, and most people that I've talked to don't either. Even the dentist approved Shammy Kablammy or the floor model or the double cream, yeah, it's not really that great. I'm going to put this one probably D tier. It's benefited by getting that extra explosive damage. TDRs are sometimes hit or miss, and this one I feel like is kind of a miss. And next up we got a Torg assault rifle. Torg assault rifles sometimes are really fun. I like the purples. This can come with Hyperion parts, it can come with Jakobs parts, and it bounces around to 4 nearby enemies, round the hound, or round the horn. It says round the horn twice, Lockjaw. There's actually a few references around the horn, which is kind of funny, but this one's interesting. So basically with this, you got a 50 centimeter explosion radius. This one's got 83. So depending on the roll, you're going to have different size, 67 here. So yeah, it can come with a few parts, but I don't know how I feel about it. I'll show you guys what it looks like. So blasting away there, it does kind of have that ricochet effect where the explosions are going to find other targets. I'll show you the Jakobs version here, and get the crits rolling with it so you can see the extra explosions. Not bad for mobbing, but again, there's just so many good mobbing weapons in this game. So the damage is okay. If you threw on a Torg part, I was experimenting with Torg enhancements. The Torg enhancements don't really even boost this thing up even more. So yeah, this one also, like, I feel like they put all their juice into the Pearlescents, which is good because we did have some Pearlescents that just sucked and the Legendaries were better. So yeah, this is a tough time to kill on this boss here. So it's yeah, not my favorite weapon, and honestly both of the Legendaries just kind of are not great in this. So yeah, you've seen it there, nothing super spectacular. Another weapon that I'm going to throw into the D tier. I do feel like the T tier one is a little bit better, has a bit higher highs. Lastly, we got actually a good legendary. Don't worry, folks, they're not all bad. So the Flak cannon. From what I've seen, the best roll is going to have, it only has a couple rolls. It'll get explosive rounds will increase the damage by 25%, damage radius by 100. This has 82k DPS. This one's got 41. So yeah, it's a little bit better. This one will come with, if you don't have it, it does come with a, it can come with corrosive. I'll show you the corrosive because we're going against a boss that is weak to corrosive. I personally really like this gun. It shines with cash. So this is what it looks like here. Boom, boom, boom. It's going to shoot off additional projectiles that fly off of the enemy there. As you can see, pretty crazy damage, and that is, yeah, just toasting the boss. And that was before I even threw on like ordnance damage increases. So I'll put those on. So getting half of the gun damage increases and then critical hit chance. What's crazy about heavy ordinances is if you have a gun damage increase, that get applied. If you have full spectrum arsenal, any gun damage increases are times by 1.5% because it's both a gun and an ordnance at the same time. So you can get some insane damage scaling on this. It's great on aim on. I'll show you the explosive rounds version now. And boom. Yeah, this thing just rips. This isn't even like the best build to use this on. I love this weapon personally, just the damage, even without using the corrosive, you can see we're melting, absolutely melting this boss here. It is absurd how powerful this thing is. It can come with a variety of elemental, or a variety of DPS as well. I'll show you it on cash, because cash with this particular setup is pretty insane. So if you're using some gloam to glow, this goes crazy. So here's what we're looking at with cash. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. Unfortunately, my cache is bugged where I can't actually unlock the Ultimate Vault Hunter 7. So unfortunately, you guys have to see this here in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6. But the damage from this is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So where we really benefit is Gloam to Glow just gives you an insane amount of damage boost. This is also crazy on the Gatling gun, but yeah, you saw it there. It took down first phase. And here we go against Thole here. So you really have to like get the, you have to get your Gloam to Glow going to really benefit from this. It's silly. And boom, shakalaka, we're going right for Subjugator here. The thing is though, it spreads damage around in a large area of effect, so it can be a little bit tricky to use sometimes, or not tricky to use, but like in this particular instance, Thole was taking a ton of damage from this, so yeah, crazy. And here we go against Thole the Invincible, so you guys can see pretty crazy damage. The output of this is nuts. So this is using a cache build that gets infinite ammo, and this boss has like millions upon millions of health, and we're just shredding them down here without even like the perfect roll of this weapon. So yeah, this thing's crazy. The heavy ordinances in general can be pretty nuts, and this is just living proof that it's just a shredder of a weapon. Huge area of effect damage as well. You can get the platinum time pretty easily with this as well, so. And there you have it, platinum rank using just that weapon. When they say Flak and good, they mean it. This weapon, I honestly think this is probably like the true best. I feel a little guilty putting that in the S tier, so I will mark it down to like, because these are just a little bit better. Everyone can use these weapons, whereas this is confined to like Harlow, Cash, and Amon with their infinite ordnance builds, but it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So just a recap, we got two new very powerful SMGs, crazy heavy ordnance, and a lot of fun weapons. Like anything in these tiers here can be serviceable. Even like the Order Sniper Rifle, if you're using a particular build, can be really good. Just requires a lot of setup. I really like the Constable Shotgun. It's just not as good as some of the others like the Gomie or the Parasite here, but the Juliet Sparkle, amazing, and the Jailbroken Gatling, love these weapons. Let me know your thoughts though in the comments. Hit the subscribe button if this video is useful, and I hope you guys all have an incredible day. We'll catch you in the next one.